Hey everybody, and welcome to Q&A Wednesday, where I answer the questions that you have, something that you need to know, and it has to do with your health and fitness goals. I have got to get rid of this swirly chair because I just want to swing around. So we have a great topic tonight. I tend to pick up on things that a lot of my clients seem to be talking about, at the time. And right now I have a lot of people struggling with their motivation when it comes to their health and fitness goals. So we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight, because you have to realize I am not immune to the situation. I have times where I am unmotivated. I've kind of learned how I work best. I've always been really goal-oriented, so that tends to help a lot, but I know that not everybody is, and some people really are struggling to pick a goal or pick a deadline or find something that keeps them moving when it comes towards whatever they're working with. Now, for most people, it's just getting healthier and feeling better about not only what they look like, but what they feel like. And those are really great goals, but it's not always enough to want those things. Sometimes you have to have a bigger overall goal or something that pushes you, so that when you really get frustrated and maybe struggle with it, you don't just give up, right? Because that's the struggle. And trust me, I know how that feels. Years and years and years. Partially for me, it was a lot of just education. I needed to know that it was doable. Nobody ever taught me how to be healthy. Nobody taught me how different exercises do different things. Those are things that over the past 10 years, I've had to learn myself. So we're going to talk about that. Hopefully you can find a couple of things tonight that have worked for you. Or if you've discovered something that I'm not talking about that has worked for you, please leave a comment below. Let us know. It will help somebody, because, we all struggle, right? And we all have different backgrounds, so not everything's going to work for everybody. So let's talk about ways that you can actually not just get motivated, but stay motivated, because sometimes having the goal is the easy part, and in the beginning you're excited because it's new and you've taken all the steps to get to it, and then maybe the first big obstacle comes along and man, it's just a real struggle. Why am I doing this? I'm not seeing progress. I get that. So here are some things that you can do to help keep you going when the going gets tough. And of course you can apply these to other things, but primarily we're talking about health and fitness right now, because of course that's my thing. By the way, it is official. I am currently an NPC judge, and starting in the spring, I get to participate. So it's been fun. Did my 3 tests, passed. I'm cool. So pretty excited about that. Get to add that to all my little titles and stuff like that. Okay, so number one of the biggest things to get excited or get motivated, you're going to have to pick a goal that's bigger than your obstacles, because there are going to be times when it is tough. I mean, I could tell you, I remember very specifically times where I sat in my car because it was warm and running, and I did not want to go into the gym because I just didn't have the energy. I just didn't want to. But because my goal was big enough, and I knew that once I felt like it, it might be too late. I might have taken too long, and the goals that I had set for myself, and my goals do come with very specific deadlines. One of the reasons that I started to compete in 2012 was, at some point I discovered I was really kind of going backwards. For those of you that don't know me, I started out at 210 pounds as my heaviest. Guys, I'm 5'3". I'm not even 5'3" at this point. So, I got down to about 125, 130, and then really kind of started to go backwards a little bit, because old habits die hard, and that's part of it. Remember, this is a lifestyle. And so the downside of getting to your goal super quick is that it doesn't give you enough time to change the habits and create the lifestyle. Most of us know how hard it is to change a bad habit. It just takes time, and it takes doing it over and over and over. And the older we are, and the longer we've been doing those habits, the harder it is to change. Now, it's not impossible, but it's going to take a lot more conscious effort, and it's going to be a struggle. It just is. It's really interesting. As humans, we resist change. There is a different vibration, right? We're all made of atoms. There's a different vibration that happens when change comes along, and we don't like it because it's uncomfortable, and we don't like uncomfortable. Our bodies don't like it. So we have some things going against us when we try to make those changes, but they're not impossible. We know that because maybe you've started a new job or moved to a different state or a different city. It's doable, right? Everything is doable, figure-outable. It's, I love that term. That's from Marie Forleo. She's amazing. She says everything is figure-outable, no matter what it is. You can figure it out. So make sure that you figure out what your why is. It's got to be bigger than your obstacles. So case in point, there's been times during prep that I've gone, oh my gosh, I want pizza so bad. And my friends will say, well, then just go eat a piece of pizza. I'm like, no, I want to win more than I want that piece of pizza. So again, I don't ever want to get on stage and feel like I didn't do my best, or that, I ate too much sugar during prep, so I'm just not where I need to be. Now, of course, I've had enough experience that will never happen, but again, it's a motivator. Now, because I'm not really competing anymore, that's not really my goal or my push. However, I do still pay a coach, and that coach is not cheap. So I've already invested in myself, and that alone tends to motivate me to keep going, and he's my accountability. So that's a lot of fun. But okay, so next thing, be realistic. Okay, I get a little frustrated. For some odd reason, we all have this idea that it's when we make the decision, it's just going to automatically happen, and I'm going to lose a pound a week, and if I up my deficit to 1,000 calories a day, that deficit, I'm going to lose 2 pounds a week. It doesn't work like that. Now, I know that over time people have come up with those averages to kind of give a guideline, but all of a sudden we've decided that if we're not losing the weight, that we're not making progress, and that's not true. Sometimes you have to track other things, but I think the biggest issue is it's just because you've decided that's the way it should happen, that doesn't necessarily mean that science is going to follow what you think. So be realistic with that. And I don't think you should have too many goals or changes going on at the same time, because that is really unmotivating when you're trying to go to the gym 5 days a week and previously you weren't going at all, and you're trying to completely change your food program and drink enough water. That's too many things to try and focus on. Most of us are too busy in this day and age, and it's too stressful to add extra things on top of that and think that we're going to continue with that. So, pick 1 or 2 things that you can work on, and then track all your progress, right? And celebrate, but we'll talk about that in a second. Track all your progress. Sometimes people just solely they depend upon the scale, and that scale does not give you enough information. You could be dropping dress sizes or pant sizes, guys, and you won't know if you're only solely focused on the scale. And the scale, unless you have a body fat scale that uses bioimpedance, you won't know unless you have something that's tracking it for you using calipers, or you're doing one of the other many options. You're just not going to know that. And honestly, I don't necessarily want to drop weight. I want to drop fat. There is a difference there. So you got to make sure that you're on the right track, that you're using multiple forms of progress to chart how you're doing. When I work with people, I tell them, you're going to see this in fits and starts. Something hopefully is moving, like inches versus body fat percentage. Some weeks it is weight, but it's not going to be a pound a week if your deficit is here. Like, it just doesn't work that way. So first of all, stop that. And secondly, if you're really struggling to figure out what is realistic for you, you may need some professional help. That's what we do. And even then, we can't tell you all the variables that are involved, but we can actually help point you in the right direction if we're not sure what's going on there. Number 4, set some smaller achievable goals. For some odd reason, we tend to do this great big, I'm going to lose 50 pounds, right? While the end result sounds amazing and you're excited about that, when you're only dropping 1 or 2 pounds a week, that's a pretty big jump to be thinking about. And when you're not seeing progress fast enough, you get frustrated and unmotivated. So pick smaller goals, 5 pounds at a time. And every time you hit a 5 pound mark, go buy yourself something. Now, not chocolate, although I make myself earn those kind of things. But, go buy, I always tell the ladies, buy yourself a pair of sexy panties. Even if no one sees them, you feel amazing about yourself because it's a smaller size than you were wearing before. It's fantastic. It does something great for our egos as women. So, celebrate everything that every progress. Sometimes for people, it's just they feel better and their strength is up. I'm like, but that's still progress. And when people get frustrated and say, fine, well then maybe I'll just quit. I'm like, so you want to just quit the fact that you're feeling better and quit the fact that you've dropped a pant size, even if it's not the 10 you're looking for. So you're just going to go back to how you felt before. Obviously, you didn't feel better than you did now. So what's your point? Number 5. So yes, reward yourself. And I don't think that you should necessarily reward yourself with food, because that's kind of counterproductive. Although I do believe you should not cut out everything that you love, because if you feel like you're sacrificing, honestly, if I had to cut out chocolate completely out of my life, yeah, we probably struggle a little bit. But I don't eat that all the time. I wait till either after I'm done with my goal or I go on a vacation. So, reward yourself with those things, but be careful about that. I find it's much more fun to shop for a smaller clothing size. But you can also do something that you don't normally do. Go have a massage or go to a spa. Go on a vacation you've been planning for. And those are great reasons to have to work towards as well, book something, pay for the airline tickets. I'm going to do this by this date so that I can go on this trip that I've earned for myself. Now, be careful with that. I really feel that you should focus more on the efforts than the results, because you can't always control how your body responds. So if you go, you know what, I got to lose this 50 pounds, I'm going to pay for these plane tickets, and then a week before you're still 10 pounds down and now you're frustrated and you're like, I don't deserve the trip, I'm not going to go. Well, that's just ridiculousness. Did you put in the work to do what you think you needed to do to accomplish that? Yeah, you need to focus on the results. Sometimes we just get so hung up on the numbers and the results. Focus on the efforts. It's so much. Part of that is that if you put in the work, some results will happen. Now, again, go back to be realistic. You can't just think, well, if I go to the gym 2 days a week, I'm going to be a supermodel in 3 months. You have to work with science, guys. But, it's a great way to keep yourself motivated. So Sean says he wants to take a trip to Washington. Come see us. I know you're way back east somewhere, like Tennessee I know. Or we'll come visit you. That would be fun. I'm all on a trip deal here. I'm loving to travel. I've had a great time. There's some fun stuff coming up that I'm going to share with you guys for next year. So stay tuned, right? Number 6. So we just said, I'm already covering half my points here. Focus on the efforts, not the results. The results will come. It's just, again, it might take longer than you expect because you might have more variables. Now, what I mean by that, most people focus on exercise and maybe some nutrition, which is good because you can't get there without the nutrition change, right? Now, don't call it a diet because diet for most people is not appropriate. But changing your nutrition to a healthier option is definitely better. It's just going to take you a while on that. But there's other things involved. So, are you getting enough sleep? Is your stress level super high? About 2 weeks ago, I talked about how you cannot biologically lose weight and be stressed at the same time. You can't. Your body can't do both things at the same time. So, again, it could be your hormones. There's other variables that most people don't think about. Are you drinking enough water? A lot of times when my clients aren't seeing the results they want, I ask them a ridiculous amount of questions, which drives them crazy. Usually we can figure out what the deal is, or at least send them to a professional that can kind of check some things, whether have their hormones tested, have their blood levels tested, do they have an autoimmune disease? There's so much more that if you're not getting regular checkups and you're not asking your doctor for these things, you may have no idea. So not a bad option. 7, you have to have a deadline. Okay, you can't just say, well, I just, by summer I want to wear a bikini. That doesn't really work. I think you should have a specific deadline. Mark it out. And if you're not good at doing those kind of things, it's okay to ask someone who is good at those things to help you. I'm just a huge technophobe. And when I need some help when it comes to technology, I ask for help because otherwise I get overwhelmed and I shut down. So if that's you, find somebody that can help you with that. That's what I do. Like, I love figuring out, okay, well, this is the deadline. This is what we got to do. That's kind of why I work with bikini competitors, because they have a deadline. They've got to be able to get on stage. So if you're kind of just aimlessly going until you get there, you're not going to get there because you haven't given yourself a cutoff, right? The next one is have a good support network so that when you are frustrated, you are down. I allow my clients to text me 24/7, which I know a lot of trainers are like, why would you do that? Because that's like so much time. Well, you know what? They're not going to get frustrated when they're in the gym with me training. They're going to be frustrated when somebody just brought birthday cake into the office and they're freaking out because they really want it and they're having a rough day. So, if you have a good support network, somebody you can talk to, have a gym buddy, have a training partner that, man, she's there waiting for you. So you can't just give up not going this morning because she's there and she's going to be texting you, text bombing you, get here. Because having an accountability partner really, really helps. Again, same reason I still use a coach. I want to have to check in and I want to make sure. There are times where I'm like, I really want this the night before, but I have to check in the morning. So that is not going to happen. Get your family on board. That might not be an option for you. You might struggle with that one. I've covered that topic a couple of times, but if you can get your family on board and have them at least be partially supportive, that's really good because, of course, you become like the 5 closest people to you. I kind of was the front runner in my family. I started it, my husband followed, and then my kids eventually followed along. And it took a long time. It didn't take just a year. It took several years for them to see what mom was doing and watch her go up and down and deal with the struggles. But at least they know. And so now we're all kind of on board together. We all share the same goal. Yeah, that's fine if you have donuts, don't bring them home. Whenever we're trying to reach a specific goal, and we're very supportive of each other on that. So if you have here in the Tri-Cities, if you can avoid the drama, because there is, there's a great network of people that are health-minded, fitness-oriented, that are really working towards a similar goal. And whether that's in a different sport, we all want to be healthy. And so there's really a lot of support here locally. But even with the social networks these days, you can get support, can't talk tonight, support from around the world. And I think that's amazing. There are some huge benefits to having social media groups where we all have similar goals. And it's kind of cool because some of my very best friends have become my friends because we train together. And then, I love that. Here's a really good one. We're all going to fall down sometimes. We just are. Even I struggle days where, maybe I eat my feelings. I haven't done that recently, but I have in the past. I remember sharing that I ate an entire bag of black jelly beans. And yes, I like licorice. I struggle. But the thing is, you can either fall down and stay down, or you can use those moments that you fall off the wagon to learn from it. I already know what I struggle with, and I know how to cope and deal with it. And that's what helps me to be successful when I have a goal. Now, again, I'm not always perfect at it, and I don't always do great at it, and I'm not always motivated. You realize we go in cycles, right? We get excited until some big obstacle comes around, and then we get frustrated, or we're not seeing our results, so then we're completely unmotivated, and then something happens. Either somebody jumps in and motivates us, we set a new goal, something brings us back to the top, but it's never static. You're never going to stay at this top and stay motivated. It's difficult to stay there. So you have to find ways to keep yourself there. And it might be different for you than it is for me. I'm just hoping that something that we talk about today can help you keep moving forward. You can also track your triggers. If you have some issues, whether you eat when you're stressed out or just shut down. I tend to shut down. I know that very well about myself. When I get overwhelmed, I just shut down. So track what makes that happen. If you are all of a sudden craving junk food because your boss just yelled at you, write that, track that, journal that, and then go back when you feel better, when you're home and relaxed, and find a way. What can I do different to deal with that? It makes it a whole lot easier than just allowing yourself to recur every time, drag the bag of Snickers out of the drawer. So tips, some things that have worked for me over time, because I've been doing this since, I've been working on my goals since 2011. Now that's not entirely true. When I was 11 years old, I tried to lose weight. But again, I just didn't know how that worked. And now that I've done it, I know that I can control what I do to get where I want to go. So here's some things that have worked for me over time. When I'm really unmotivated, I will actually bribe myself. I've done it before. I'll give you an example, but it could be I'm going to go do my gym workout, and then I'm going to have, the Snickers has been sitting here staring at me for an hour. Now that's probably not the route I would go. I tend to do more of, I really don't want to do my cardio today, but you know what? I can do 5 minutes. I can handle 5 minutes, get on the treadmill, 5 minutes, and at 5 minutes, I'm actually feeling okay. And maybe I've gotten into a Netflix movie on my phone, and I'm like, you know what? I'm almost at a mile, so you know what? Let's just keep going to the mile. And then once I get to the mile, I'm like, you know what? I actually am enjoying this show, whatever I'm watching, and I feel pretty good. Let's just keep going until I get to the end of this show. Maybe it's a TV show, whatever. So by the time I'm done, I have finished my cardio, and I'm glad I did. It just was the getting started that was the problem for me at the moment, but I bribed myself to do it because I said, you know what, I'll just do 5 minutes and we'll count it. And I've had workouts that way as well. I've gone to the gym, I don't feel like lifting, I hurt, I don't feel good, whatever. You know what, I'm just going to do a half-assed workout. It'll be okay. Half-assed workout's better than no workout at all. And by the time I'm done, I've either just done the half-assed workout and count it because it's a workout, or maybe I just got into it and I got my blood flowing and I'm fine. So sometimes, just getting moving will help as well. But it's okay to bribe yourself. Again, I wouldn't go crazy. Don't bribe yourself to then go to the smorgasbord and undo all the results that you've been working for. But little things that you can do to get yourself there. It's okay. Number two, I've talked about this before, and I think that we forget that how we talk to ourselves is so important. I hear a lot of people say, I'm ugly, I'm bad. That's a big one. I don't like that. Just because you went off plan does not make you a bad person. I know plenty of bad people. That does not make you a bad person. Maybe you're upset with it and you might feel bad about it. That's okay, but you're not a bad person. So really be careful of self-talk. You can absolutely use positive affirmations. Now, again, there's some things you have to do with that. You have to repeat them to yourself and you have to say them out loud. There's actually 3 rules to a positive affirmation. It has to be personal, it has to be present tense, and it has to be positive, right? Because we all know what talking down to ourselves does. We need to reverse that. And it can be super simple, but you know what? Some of the things, maybe you say, I am a strength training badass, or I love the gym. I go every day. When you start to think of yourself as somebody who already does those things, I am an athlete. That was a big one for me. I was 36 when I was like, oh my word, I'm an athlete. I wasn't even good at this stuff at high school. It makes a big difference to think about that, because then when I start to, I really want to go have blah, blah, blah. Well, is that what an athlete would do? Well, no. All the time I see like the little stands for the kettle corn as you're going into the grocery store, and they'll be like, do you want some kettle corn? I'm like, well, maybe I'll donate to your cause, but no, I don't eat sugar. I'm an athlete. Now, I'm not saying I never eat sugar, but I'm an athlete. And right now I'm training for something. I'm not eating sugar. It works for me. Now, I don't say I can't, because that is not a good thought process. Then you're denying yourself something. But if you tell yourself, I don't miss lifting the days that I'm supposed to. I never miss a workout. So again, it's the way that you talk to yourself becomes really super important and can lead you to stay motivated. Number 3, invest in yourself. It's really easy to give up on yourself when you're not paying for it. So again, hence the reason I'm willing to pay a trainer. I'm willing to pay a coach when I'm really struggling, because I know that I'm way more likely to stick with it because I have paid for it, and I have never been a girl to like to waste money. So that works for me. Now, that might just be a new pair of gym shoes for you. That might be an investment of time. You don't think that it has to be money. It could be other things. But if you invest in yourself, you're more likely to go through with it because you don't want to waste that, right? Okay. The last thing I want to say is, put something up that you can see that keeps you motivated. If you're going on vacation, girls, and you want that bikini, put that bikini on your fridge so you can see it every day, right? It's in the forefront of your mind. It really does. It weirdly makes a difference. Think about it in reverse. If you're sitting at work and there's a bowl of M&Ms on your desk, you're more likely to eat them. But if those M&Ms are in a drawer so you don't see them all the time, you're less likely to eat them. Weird, right? But it's because it's in your vision, it's in your view, and so then it's desirable. So do that the opposite. I do vision boards every year, things I want to accomplish that year, and then I put it up where I can see it, so that whenever I get frustrated, I can remember, oh yeah, that's what I'm working for. And if I quit, I'm not going to reach that. And even if I decide later I want to do it, if I quit now, I set myself back in time and effort. So that helps. So hopefully you got something out of it. I know that motivation is a huge struggle for most people. Really, it is to all of us. It's the people that learn from it and keep going. It's not the ones that don't ever fall down. I find it fascinating that people that think that we're there must have just got there by accident, or, we were born that way. I'm like, oh, hell no, that did not happen. You probably heard the meme, I did not wake up like this. I get up every morning and I'm tired and I hurt because my body just doesn't like me these days. And I get out of bed and I do cardio at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's not easy, but the alternative is worse. So hopefully that you got something out of that. If you have an idea, please, put a comment below. I love to hear from you guys. Thank you for jumping on. I appreciate it. And if you have a question that you would like to ask, you can either leave it below, because again, I get my best ideas from you guys, or you can message me directly. You can ask anyone who's messaged me. I respond. unless you're creepy. Don't be creepy. I do respond because I want you to be successful. I want you to be healthy and happy, and that is why we are here. So have an incredible night, you guys. There will not be Meals with Melissa the next 2 weekends. I will be at a photo shoot this weekend, and then Night of Champions the following weekend, which makes things a little crazy. And honestly, I just don't want the stress. But got some great recipes coming up in the near future because it is the holidays coming, and Halloween's my favorite. So, you know. All right, have a good one, you guys. That is Q&A Wednesday. Have a good night.